Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's November 13th, 2024. I hope it is Wednesday, right? Yeah. Already smack in the middle of the week. I know I act surprised every single week, but I swear it's like time is really speeding up. I mean, I know I can't be the only one that feels that way. But yeah, it is Wednesday, and I hope that your week has been going well so far. It's a good point of check-in, pulse check, see how you're doing, how things are going, if you're accomplishing what you set out to, or to set some new intentions before the week is out. Whatever the case may be, I wish you the best in your intentions. It'll be the weekend before you know it. All right, let's see what we got. Hey, Ace of Cups, come through, Spirit, literally. The floodgates are open. This is divine love, unconditional love, anointing, overflow. Could be a new love offer or some opportunity to exchange or express love in a very profound way. There's peace in this card when it pops up. Wow. I was just about to say, too, there's not really much negative you can say about the Ace of Cups. And then we have the Three of Swords, but it could very well be after heartbreak, you know, and even struggle love, let's say. It could be an overflow, like a as they say, feast or famine. It could be that outpouring of love that happens after there's been some healing, or some cycles have closed, or some traumatic experiences have been overcome with the Ten of Wands and the Three of Swords. And perhaps it could even be a resolve to, I wouldn't say give up on love, because I don't think the Ace of Cups really comes through, not pouring through like this, when there is, when you're like resistant to it, or when you've so-called given up and there's no hope for it. Like, this even could be the energy of someone that is still hopeful, but I'm actually going to place it here with the Knight on the other side of the Ace of Cups with this here. So this is someone, yeah, it's like coming out of a refresh, or being revived in love after, I would say, a stressful or an unfortunate ending. Maybe a breakup, again, just maybe a stint or a cycle or two of just misfortune in love that was unfulfilling, unsatisfying, unrequited, toxic, traumatic, triggering, you know, anything of the sort here on this side. And this is someone like almost coming through baptized and rejuvenated. You know, that's why I was saying, like, it doesn't really show up if you completely, I mean, you may have the invitation to, you may receive an invitation to open yourself up to it and to the possibility again, if you have shut it down, or are in a space of rejection or resistance to it. But I don't feel like you would if there was an outpouring, you wouldn't be able to really revel in it if you're still closed. And maybe that's what this is on the other side to some degree. Actually, with the Knight of Cups, somebody may still be navigating their readiness to reciprocate. Well, it's first of all to receive and reciprocate. The promise here, well, the positive side of it is that with the Knight of Cups, he is moving forward away from this over here and out of the Ace of Cups with a cup in his hand, which in this regard can say that somebody is at least willing and open to the possibilities, willing to explore, maybe even looking forward to exploring. But hitting here with or maybe exploring their options. Maybe that's what the Seven of Cups is here. Maybe that's what that is. Open to exploring. So it could be somebody that's open to dating, open to just connection overall. I would say it doesn't have to even be romantic. It really just could be someone that after a period of healing finds themselves in a somewhat ambitious state of willingness to be vulnerable again. And I feel like if this is the come from, that this is a hopeful outlook. And they may not, and it's somebody that may not be too sure about how healed they are or how they fare in that arena again, where they're actually, opening themselves to be intimate again, or to be vulnerable. That's the word I'm trying to find. Vulnerable again. They may not be 100% sure of how that gets to look, how they get to be within that experience and what they may encounter. But the openness and the willingness is a good thing. That at least gives, again, the space and opportunity for this Ace of Cups to pour into that space of allowance. There's that word again, because someone is not closed and resistant. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles here, which is about making long-term investments. So, 7-7, definitely some hopeful energy here, that someone's either taking inventory of how far they've come, from perhaps being a little bit closed or dismayed in that department, in the department of vulnerability and intimacy and emotional expression, to now looking at the long-term scope of things, what they may more hopeful about what they are able and willing to commit to, perhaps create or invest in for the long term. It all still seems very open-ended though, which is not a bad thing, because there's no guarantee with the Seven of Pentacles, certainly not with the Seven of Cups. Actually, there's a lot more to eliminate usually with the Seven of Cups. So perhaps that's what someone's really, weighing in on now as they're opening themselves up to consideration again, really checking back in with what they want to create for the long term that is contrary to what they have experienced in the past, something that does have longevity and that is sustainable and perhaps satisfying, and that is reciprocal to what they are willing and able to offer. And with the Seven of Cups, there are definitely some of those things there that just immediately, like multiple choice, you can just say, nah, that ain't it. And here's the thing, you don't really know how to approach such a, I don't know, like a, not an opportunity, but you don't really know how to approach having, let's say, like a healthy dating life or a healthy intimate life or whatever, like, again, connection overall, until you've had some unfavorable experiences. Before then, you're a little bit naive and a little bit green to how to protect yourself, how to reserve and conserve your energy, how to responsibly give, the cues of and signals and signs of when you have you could feel safe to fully invest yourself into something, and when you should hold back, or when you there is a sign to disconnect or detach. Like, all of that gets learned by trial and error, unfortunately, and a lot more heartbreak and disappointment usually than happy endings, even though everything more or less can be revered as a happy ending, and you could have the trial and tribulation and still have a happy ending and just agree to go your separate ways or to disconnect or whatever. But I think you get my point, is that without all of this, you don't ultimately get to mature into a space of emotional advancement. But the thing is that not everybody comes out of this side of heartbreak and trauma and trial and error still open and willing to try again or explore further or even more deeply. So that's really the gift, if there is any, with the Ace of Cups, as I said, is that if you can still be open regardless of what you've experienced, that's pure. That's really blessed or blissed, because not everybody can say that, and certainly not to the point where you'd be open to the best of love. If anything, you may be more prone to recycle what you've already had, or still fall into the conditioning of repeating the cycles that you're comfortable in or used to. But this is indicating that somebody is open to something new, having something new, being something new, exchanging in a new way, and building in a space that may be a bit foreign to them. Love and emotional expression on a very deep level, especially for masculine energy, which is mostly what's on the board, is sometimes foreign territory for a lot of men. I dare to say most men. I'll just say many men. Okay, so I guess if you have someone that's willing, or if you have a masculine or even feminine energies that have been more conditioned to secure themselves in their masculinity for protection purposes and for advancement purposes, which is certainly conventional in society today, or at least in this country, it still may be a challenge, to overcome past hurts and pains and traumas, to be soft and your secure in your softness, I should say, and even submissive to kind of see what happens on the other side of it all. So it definitely doesn't have to be masculine specific, but as you can see, we got a lot of men on the board. So, all right, so let's see what else we got. Oh, look at that, the Two of Cups. It's a good sign. There, and that again speaks to, I said this yesterday, kind of speaks to having an established covenant between your masculine and feminine sides, you know, like being one with the whole of yourself. Oh, look at this. And then here's some acceleration or communication or some advancement here with the Eight of Wands. So this could be on account of being very decisive in a balanced agreement, first and foremost with yourself, as I said, coming out of this experience or season of disturbance, refreshed and revived for something new, being very intentional about what you actually do invest in, very selective even with little experience, because that's what the Knight of Cups is given to me. It still feels a little bit fresh, you know. It's like somebody that's like fresh on the dating scene, or newly open to, newly emotionally available, like just fresh to, again, allowing themselves to be vulnerable in any intimate exchange, whether it be for the first time ever or just in a new way than they have been in before, or that they've been comfortable with. So after making that proclamation of commitment here, that decision, here is the agreement, whether this is maybe even that being the attractive force for the balanced partnership itself, you know, that the decision to be open is what ultimately yields the attraction. And so then it doesn't become so hard to sift through, you know, the multiple choices, so to speak, because you become far more magnetic for exactly what you're in the market for, because that's what you are projecting. That's what this is. And in that case, things can accelerate quite quickly with the Eight of Wands, where you could go from casually, or you could go from friendship to romantic interest, to casually dating, to seriously committed in what seems like a blink of an eye for someone that once upon a time, you know, didn't really have much luck and love. So it seems here that things seem to be a bit of a struggle. Maybe they struggled to express themselves emotionally, or to struggle to make connections, or struggled to build connections that were harmonious, you know, not traumatic or not toxic in some way, shape, or form. But the Two of Cups covers all grounds, because it could range from platonic connections to romantic ones, and even to professional ones, you know. But it's generally a healthy exchange, which is good. Again, all good signs so far. And we got the Page of Swords. Yeah, it's like either this is spectators watching from the inside out, which definitely could be that, but it could also be someone's dedicated interest and focus in kind of learning the ropes, you know, like learning as they go, and really being almost like a student of love, if that makes sense. That's what I'm really feeling more than anything. Like somebody that's like eager. I'm hearing like music's teach me how to love, like an eager student, not like they don't know anything, but also accepting that this is still new to them. So they're not jumping into it like, first of all, bringing all of the baggage that, and the experience that they've more or less purged from their system. This is somebody that's willing to kind of like start fresh and learn their own love languages as they've been revived to express them, and certainly to be very attentive. Ooh, I like this. I like this energy. I ain't gonna lie. Somebody that's very attentive to, because what I'm seeing here is the feminine energy. The masculine is covered in this case by the eight of wands, and it's like wanting to really learn and being almost a quick learner too with the eight of wands, how to be a good lover. That's what it is. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. And that's so noble and humble, especially coming from a masculine perspective. I mean, masculine or feminine, but certainly a masculine perspective, to submit to that process, or submit themselves to that experience in that way, to me demonstrates it demonstrates is like a healthy pride, not an egotistical one where, I'm the man, I know what I'm doing, and, that would want to control the situation, or at least look like they have everything under control themselves and, all aspects included. But this is somebody really that isn't afraid to be vulnerable, and and wouldn't be afraid to admit to themselves or to whomever they're engaged with. Not necessarily that they have to say like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm teach me how to love, like not like puppy dog vibes per se, but just somebody that's just willing and eager to let experience be the teacher, and that wouldn't feel like their ego is bruised if perhaps, there's a call for adjustment in this new experience, not particularly resistant or controlling of any of the factors, but just very attentive and eager to, I really feel more of the eagerness especially with the eight of wands, to learn, not to control, but really to be effective in whatever the partnership may be. Maybe to even mature their love in an accelerated way, like to almost, it's like somebody, this is what I'm getting. It's like, it feels like somebody's going into this experience, whether it's just the dating pool or the possibility of connection or connection itself, feeling like they may not necessarily have all the answers and all the wisdom and know-how to be the best lover based on their previous experiences. But what I'm getting is that someone actually doesn't realize how healed they truly are. It's like somebody may, or men in general, that are submissive in this way to the process of a pure love, may not actually realize how advanced just that intention alone renders them. Like, it's not about knowing how to say all the right things and do all the right things and, you know, all the romanticism of love that we idealize, masculine and feminine. It's just the open-heartedness and the willingness to be vulnerable to the process that makes someone more masterful than they can even give themselves credit for at the onset of their experience. So what I'm sensing is like somebody so humble to be groomed and grown in this new way of experiencing and exchanging love. But what's going to accelerate is the fact that just that intention alone puts them more at an even level with the type of partnership. First of all, it's attracting a type of partnership that would appreciate that sentiment, and it's putting them more on an even level with someone that they may otherwise feel they have to kind of learn to satisfy or please or serve or whatever they think that there's room for improvement or room to be groomed by. It's probably really not that much of a learning gap. And that's the acceleration part, because it's the willingness that creates the advancement. Because as I was saying before, not many people could, as most of us have, come out of trauma and drama and still be open to a pure experience, and to also be submissive to the ways in which we get to purify ourselves to be an ideal partner, and then position ourselves to actually be vulnerable amidst a pool of possibilities, and then streamline our prospects to the point of actually choosing, you know, with certainty and with intention, how we engage and how deeply we connect, and then doing so, and also being intentional to have that be a positive experience. This is phenomenal. No wonder it's the Ace of Cups in the midst of this. It's anointed. Just the sheer intention and sentiment toward love in this regard is blessed and blissed and bound to be blissful, because this is what he's going to attract, and this is what he's going to connect with, because he's intentional not to settle for anything less. And so therefore, that's why the partnership has this great potential to advance with the Eight of Wands, because there's so much synergy there. You know, like it's really like, you know, like unconditional love that we're speaking of here. And I love that the masculine is leading the charge in this reading, because that in itself is not typical for me to pick up on. It certainly is not. So it's speaking to a readiness in the masculine, in the manosphere, you know, at least the divine one, I would say, or the ascended one, to you know, get in the game, without fear and resistance. Hell, man, we need that. Those that are in relationships may be finding themselves wanting to be more emotionally available, or to advance their emotional intelligence, maybe to even express themselves more clearly, effectively, or deeply, you know, want to connect to what they're feeling more intensely. So it's not even just about those that are braving a new connection altogether, but it's just as brave to begin to open up to someone that's more or less known you for years, you know what I mean, or decades, you know, and express some part of yourself that you never felt comfortable to do so before. So this could just be a general outpouring of emotions, I would say in a very productive way, though, not an oversaturation, unless that's how you see it, because you don't want to get wet. But it feels like a good, like they say, like a good cry, and it doesn't have to be tears. And as a matter of fact, it could even be tears of joy. But there's something that is flooding or flowing. That's good. It feels good. It feels good. Let's see what else we got here. Look at this. Wow. And you know what? These two cards came up together 2 times last week as well. So we're definitely on to something powerful in terms of relationships and just the overall balance and harmony in partnerships, maybe in actual homes, again, that are in the space of recovery, you know what I mean, that have gone through their own set of trial and tribulation, have committed themselves to tough it out, stick it out, whether it was personally and singly or if it was actually in a partnership. Either way, it's the setup for more advanced and evolved connections. And that's beautiful. The 10 of Cups and the 4 of Wands, that's a happy home. That's a happy legacy, a legacy of love that's being established. And what that does is break the cycle of trauma and toxicity. It completely obliterates it. Particularly here with the Ace of Cups, with celestial influence and purification. This is like the advancement of love dynasties or love legacies that ultimately get to energetically repopulate creation. Perhaps physically as well too over time, but certainly that change the energetic frequency of the air that we're all breathing just by existing, having happier families, happier partnerships, happier marriages, happier commitments, pure commitments, like balanced unions, changes the collective consciousness. It exalts this energy of unconditional love, again, that just pours out into everything. Because when you have foundations such as this, nothing but this can come out of it. So that means in everything that they do, whether it be work, charity, business, leisure, just the energy that is generated throughout the world, throughout the realm, becomes infectious. Whomever they connect with outside of their union becomes infected or affected. That imprint is made on everything that they project their energy onto. And then that births also something else, another organism outside of that, and so on and so forth. Like, it just continues to evolve and advance that passion in a very accelerated way. Wow, so that's what we own, huh? I love it. But then we got the 2 of Swords, like this is some type of indifference or crossroads. Maybe just not seeing how that gets to be just yet. It almost seems fantastical, like too good to be true. And also there could even be like outside projections that want to keep hopes low for such a reality. Like, oh, that sounds nice. It sounds like a movie, you know, a happy ending, a happily ever after, you know, that sounds real good. And I would love that. However, when you know, from your previous experience, now this is the energy of perhaps being a little bit more closed or skeptical, perhaps, about that possibility, but that would be a projection worth resisting, you know, or shifting in some way, shape, or form, because everyone is privy to this experience in their own right if they are willing to commit to having that. You know, it's an illusion to believe that only certain people are privileged to have a happy ending, or it's, you know, the statistics are low for a happy marriage or long-lasting marriage or honest commitments and you know, a successful partnership, whether it be conventional, traditional, or not. So like all of that is adverse interference and objection to what inevitably will shift life as we know it, you know, and eliminate a lot of the suffering and the trauma that ultimately has kept the world on this cycle. Just again, by being realized, there being evidence of its existence, and not evidence in the way that is like 1 in a million or by chance or if you're lucky. No, this is evidence of partnerships coming together at such an accelerated rate that it turns the mindset around to start to believe, well, hell, if this is the vibe, you know, if all of this is happening, then there's got to be something in it for me too, you know, where we see the statistics otherwise, but when you see the evidence that proves something more fantastical, it's like you can't help but, it's like a good love story. You can't help but be intrigued. You can't help but be inspired. And even for all the contrasting projections that say that couldn't be you, or you'd have to be lucky to have it be you, there's still something deep in the heart space that wishes to have it be so. You know what I mean? And this is like turning it over from it just being a mere wish and almost like a spirit of indifference, like, oh, well, if it happens, it happens. If not, to now actually having the intention to create that for yourself, to move away from these unfavorable cycles of experiences that you know you don't want to have, learning from them, growing from them, healing from them, and then putting yourself in a position to actually have what you desire to. That's the vibe. That's the vibe, y'all. Contrary to what it may look like when you look around, like, this is the vibe. Oh, that's a lot. Hold on, let me see. Like 4 cards. Oh, okay. Well, then I will take them because that'll finish me off. All right, so we got I thought it was 3, which would have kind of thrown my whole program off, but this will work. Then we got this and the High Priestess. Okay, so we got the 6 of Wands, which is victory and success, you know, and double success here with closing some cycles, as I feel all of this kind of speaks to with the Page of Cups here is closing those traumatic cycles that have been emotionally and maybe even psychologically unhealthy, burdensome. And also, healing those maybe childhood wounds that ultimately are usually the root of our traumas, the secrets of those woundings, the ones that we can't see, but of course the ones that we can. But this high priestess here is speaking to a depth of that wounding that sometimes we suppress, or that we just, it's so mysterious that you don't really know how to get to the bottom of it all. It's really now coming to a resolve and healing in even that space, the unseen, the unknown, and all things being revealed to be healed in a way that is empowering. This is like holy healing is what I'm getting here. And also, mother and child, like the divine mother and the Page of Cups being the child, it's like nurturing, what do they say? Like, reparenting yourself, or some phrase like that about really nurturing your inner child to this place of wholeness by allowing certain cycles to be completely closed behind you as you look forward to being successful in what's to be accomplished now. First of all, that being an accomplishment, the healing itself, but also giving yourself permission to celebrate continuous victories. That's all a part of this new energy where you don't hold yourself to the failures or shortcomings of the past or disappointments of the past. You also don't hold yourself to the projections of what's told is possible for you or what you are privy to. And you also don't hold yourself to the projections of what you have evidence for around you, of what is and is not likely or probable. You really start to see yourself singled out as, if you must be a unique case to start, then so be it. But hey, if we all looked at ourselves as the exception and looked at ourselves as exceptional, then we would share that energetic vibe more than we would the ideal of you needing to be lucky. You know what I mean? It would be the new normal to just have an expectation for success, to be able to close cycles when need be, but also to be able to move forward when you have the invitation to do so, or to start something new, or chart new territory, or veer into a space and time that is foreign to you, and be able and give yourself the grace to evolve in that experience, just as one has evolved here to be open to this one. Like that's the continuous and continual commitment here, that there's always more to learn, more to gain, more to know, and more to grow, and it not being a fear anymore, from in those transitional experiences of change, of how you might fall short or miss out or fill a void from what you're leaving behind or what is changing. Like there's something about like a very a highly raised vibration of expectation in the realm that is pulling through. It's pulling through. And I love it. I love to see it, where everybody, of course, that resonates with a message such as this, is getting on the vibe of an expectation to win and to be a winner and to always be winning, no matter what. That's the frequency that if we can circulate that, regenerate that, Gaia would be so happy, so pleased, so settled, so sound of a space to inhabit. You know, it would literally change the landscape of the realm from the inside out and the outside in. And the Page of Cups, again, is the healing, even in those mysterious spaces, but it's also, as it was with the Page of Wands, a dedication to be fulfilled, you know, to be vulnerable, very vulnerable energy with the Page of Cups, and being okay with the uncertainty of that vulnerability, and also feeling protected there, because that's the main reason why people act out in the insecure ways that they do, especially when it comes to relationships, and they cheat or they hold back secrets, they have double lives, they are afraid to commit. You know, it's usually all around insecurity, not feeling like you're going to be loved for who you organically express yourself to be, how you organically express yourself to feel, especially men, because men are more or less conditioned not to be so expressive, and then when they are and it's not received well one way or another, it kind of conditions them to be suppressive, and that suppressed energy is never any good. And again, it materialize itself into toxic behaviors, you know, or self-sabotaging behaviors, or maybe even abusive behaviors. So if we can eliminate that from the core, you know, from the soul, you know, like healing on a soul level, there it is, really. That's what this is, healing on a deep soul level, and it particularly from the soul of your inner child. That pretty much will advance humanity to a realization of holiness, where unconditional love literally is the vibe. And if it just so happens that how you vibing is not how I want to vibe, then we amicably agree to disagree. And what do they call it? Conscious coupling. I learned that from somebody some years ago. This couple is older couple, very spiritual couple, and never would have thought I'd see them split up. But the way that they did, they had a business, and they also were married. And he said, yeah, we're consciously uncoupling, not breaking up. They were married, but not breaking up, not divorcing. That's the term that he used. And, you know, up until the end of my, you know, their store run, when I saw them together and they had split, and I even had stayed connected with the wife for some time because she had her own personal shop and stuff. It seemed like it was pretty productive, you know, like, well, we've come to a point where we're not in this, we don't want the same things, or we're not, you know, vibing on the same level that we were once upon a time. And maybe perhaps like that's the vibe for those that are redirecting themselves, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. This could be literally a happily ever after situation. So says the Ten of Cups and the Four of Wands, with the Six of Wands and the World card. You know, it could very much so, again, not it being a fantasy or a fairy tale, but it actually being a fact, a figment of fact, you know, that can be realized by you and many others. But I'm just saying, if there is a worst case scenario and there has to be or gets to be a split, there's even a way to peacefully do that, you know, that doesn't have to be a knockout, a drag out, knockdown fight, you know, that ends up being nasty. So it's like, even the end of things doesn't have to be a disappointment or traumatic. it can just be a new beginning if that's what it's meant to be, and you can still have an appreciation for the time that was spent up until that point. So either way, it's just a new mindset about intimacy, because that's another part that some people are afraid to get too deep or become too vulnerable for the fear of one day it not working out, or breaking up, or you pour all of yourself into someone, or don't, because you're afraid that it may not work out anyway, or if they really knew who you were from the depths of your soul, they might not actually, want to commit to a forever or a long-term thing. But all of that gets eliminated when we're just operating in pure love. Because when it comes from an internal space first, then you can make that offering to someone else. You can allow someone else to be authentically themselves and give them space and support and security to do so as they give you the same. And then it's like, what can really go wrong in that situation? What could, even the worst case scenario can't be the worst case, i.e. breaking up, when you share that sentiment, when you literally you hold the best intentions for someone else's well-being, and you know that the same is requited, the same is reciprocated. It's beautiful. And it's like, there's not really much evidence that that's popping right now. I know Two of Swords is like, what, girl, please. But I'm proclaiming it and I'm claiming it. That's the vibe I'm on. If it ain't that, what are we doing? Like, for real. Like, if I can't feel safe and secure to be me, I don't have to curb my enthusiasm for life. I don't have to dim my light. I don't have to make myself feel small. I don't have to make myself feel big. I don't have to make concessions for my choices and spirituality. I don't have to, I don't have to I don't have to be secretive about my sensuality choices, if that's a thing. Everything is just free-flowing, fluid, and out on the table. And me personally, that's the magneticism that I'm cultivating. Like, if I can't be me 100%, feeling comfortable to let my hair down and be free, then I can cultivate that experience on my own. I certainly don't need to be coupled up to have less than that, So it has to be that, if not more than that. And really, the ideal, honestly, with that Page of Swords in the early part, is to be in an experience where you actually get to learn more about yourself through that mirror exchange. You actually become more vulnerable and more intimate, more secure, and discover aspects about yourself in love from the inside out and outside in that you didn't even know existed before. That's the real pure love right there, where I may not have even unlocked this aspect of myself if it were not for this partnership. If it ain't that, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing for me, for real. All right, so and here's another page, willing, excited about the journey of exploration and discovery. And this is even the self-discovery that I'm talking about. What's on the bottom? What? Stop. That ultimately grows into this yet another divine expression of frequency, in this case, passion, love and passion. That you ultimately discover a power within yourself that's unlocked, maybe ignited, or maybe it enhanced or advanced in some way that, again, like you wouldn't, maybe just the sheer power of love itself is so inspiring that you become a more divine creature of of expression and creativity than you ever could have been on your own. And who's passing up that opportunity for the fear of the worst case scenario, which we've already established here never has to be a worst case of anything if you're operating with the best of intentions for yourself and for someone else. I don't even understand how people come to nasty, venomous divorces. I've never really even had a venomous breakup. Even the ones that may not have been the best, the venom didn't come from me. Like there's really nobody in my life, honestly, no matter what the experience was, that I have the energy to hold ill will for on account of things just not working out or not lasting for forever. It's just like there's still so much reverence that I have for every single romantic or intimate, hell, even platonic relationship, hell, professional, hell, casual, old school friends, whatever. Like, every person that I've encountered, I've learned something from. I've learned something about myself. I've gained some inspiration, some understanding, experience, something of value. There's literally no one, and there are some ones that I may or may not ever reconnect with again in an intimate way, whether it be platonic or romantic. However, many someones, obviously, but some that I have the intention to never connect with again, and I still hold that experience in high regard, So it's like, I don't understand how people come to the end of the road and just decide to just be enemies, and to, that again, that's a flare up of pride and ego and an indication of childhood wounding that's never been resolved when it starts to act out in that way, where you want to take control or forge some advantage and you gotta win, or, like you have to avenge something. It's like, I don't have that sense of emotion or passion for anyone in a negative sense. I wish the best for everyone that I've ever encountered. And I hope that they will always remember something positive of me, in their thoughts and the best of our exchanges. So again, where you're on that frequency for yourself and having that intention to engage that level of love, particularly as it really has been the theme here, there is no worst case scenario. It's only the gift is the present. The present is the presence of the two of you on the same page, sharing an experience for as long as you possibly can, and shifting and readjusting however life calls for, flowing, there it is, however you're called to do so, with the least resistance possible. Understanding is the depth of that Ace of Cups. Understanding for yourself and holding that space for others. And that ultimately is the key that unlocks this overflow of love that may start off in individual little, silos and sects of, not sex like sex, but sects of reality before it begins to completely saturate it. Yes, saturation was the word I was trying to find earlier, like a saturation of love in the most divine sense is what we have to look forward to. It's beautiful. It's good stuff. But it's coming from the inside out. So as you are allowing yourself to be oversaturated, it has nowhere else to go but out. You won't even be able to contain it. And that's the idea. which is why we're being called to source it in the first place. That's amazing. Great reading. Great, great, great. All right, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.